In today's show, you'll hear investor perspectives on the COVID-19 impact on startup fundraising. This is Investor Perspectives. I'm the host of Investor Connect, Hall T. Martin, where we connect startups and investors for funding. It's the time of COVID-19. We're in lockdown looking to reopen the economy in the U.S. The virus has changed the way the world looks with empty streets, shuttered stores, and death counts rising. There are signs of flattening the curve, so we now look to the other side when the economy will reopen. I hope you enjoy this episode. Our first guest is Ash Kularachi, who runs StartEd in New York. Ash was previously on the Investor Connect show. What are you doing to prepare for the market after the lockdown? What are you going to do differently with your startups, given the new normal we'll come into?
In the short term, what I've advised most of our founders at a very high level is to be entrepreneurs. And by that I mean realize that if you had a growth stage company at this point, you've kind of just been bumped back to the seed stage, and you need to go back and understand how your customers are changing in terms of their behavior. So being entrepreneurs and talking to your customers, your existing ones, is of paramount importance right now. And if you have that conversation, you'll realize that unless you're seeing tremendous inbound need for your product, like the OutSchools of the world are seeing, then there's probably some marginal pivot or repositioning required to tap into the market that has suddenly been created, right? So my recommendation to companies is tighten your belts, be in this for the long haul, but spend the next few months talking to your customers and understanding what pivot you might need to perform come fall. And so if you can build that validation now, that'll put you in a much better stead, both on the product front when you're going back to customers, as well as if you're going back to new investors in fall.
My next guest is Charles Sidman, managing partner of ECS Partners and founder of the Maine Angels. What will you think this new age will bring us?
Yeah, well, individualized medicine. I heard the acronym called 5Ps, and I think it's really concise and useful. The 5P medicine of the future stands for personalized, predictive, preventive, participatory, and private. And that's what COVID is. There's no one size fits all. We need to treat everybody even more as an individual. We have to do it pretty darn quickly. So I think everything that goes into that is going to be much in demand, and the medical science is going to respond to that. So that's one that I'll just throw out there. The second one is the whole notion of collaboration methods. I don't know if we're ever going to go back to, sitting down together in a football stadium and all of us watching a football game together with 100,000 close friends. So, things like that. I am absolutely shocked at how efficient I've been for the last couple of months, meeting just like we're meeting now. And, it's nice to be able to share a beer together, clink the glasses, but, the interchanges, they still happen. And so it's kind of instructive.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to give up this efficiency with online tools. You move from one meeting to the next very efficiently. I find the online tools they take about half the time compared to physical meetings. Physical meetings used to be an hour. Online meetings tend to be half an hour. So right there, you get a 2x productivity increase because everything is slimmed down to a shorter time.
And you cut out the airports and airplanes.
My next guest is Brett Noyes, founder and manager of Unbanked Ventures. So what are you doing to prepare for the market after the lockdown? What are you getting ready to do when we get back out of this?
Yeah, so we just happened to be in the process we were a fintech-focused incubation program. And for, many reasons, we were evolving into a syndicate model. And we were evolving our thesis. So we happened to be going towards what we're calling the economies 3.0. Other people might call it, future of work. So we were already adapting our thesis to be focused on kind of the economy of the future and the company, kind of the workforce of the future. So we're moving to a syndication versus incubation model, and we're adapting our thesis. And we just happen to be kind of ahead of it. So as we think of coming out of this, we're really thinking about how do we position ourselves to be the syndicate for early stage companies that are looking to raise capital that are solving the problems that are coming out of this time period.
Now we come to Daniel Ebry, co-founder and managing partner at Mindset Ventures. So what are you doing to prepare for the market after the lockdown? What are you getting ready for and how are you preparing?
So I think, there might be a great opportunity for smaller VCs like ourselves to be well positioned. So first of all, I think one of the things that we try to do a lot is really help the entrepreneurs. And we do that mostly by helping them expand internationally, but we also help in mentoring and coaching, etc. And I think this hands-on support will be even more valued for the entrepreneurs after this crisis, because they see that it's not only about money, but it's about how you can be coached and your partners can help you go through this difficult time. So this is one opportunity. The other, I think, it's smaller funds like ourselves tend to be able to move fast or faster at least and be more flexible. And I think this is a good opportunity to be positioning good deals. So while big name funds try to take more time to decisions and try to be more cautious, maybe smaller funds can move faster and get positions in competitive deals. So I think it's a good timing for us to accelerate once we are also funded and get into deals that need short-term support, maybe at good valuations.
Here is Nathan McDonald of the Keiretsu Forum. Great. So what are you doing to prepare for the market after the lockdown?
Well, that's a good question. We're always doing long-term planning, and earlier this week, that was looking at June. So, it's kind of an evolving thing. We're still very hopeful we can put on our big investor capital expo in August. We're hopeful we'll legally able to gather with, 500 plus investors. But we'll see. If not, we'll just continue the online and virtual and a combination of offline and online going forward here for the foreseeable future. And then, so we're preparing a lot of options. We're getting a lot better at Zoom, a lot better at the Zoom rooms and some of the additional things they're adding in to create some more of that follow-on kind of after the meeting social hour type, format. We've seen some other groups that have done a good job with that. So we've been trying to, see how that could function. And, how do you go from the group down to more of the one-on-one connectivity? And if there's a way to replicate that online, that would be, quite productive. But we think it'll be more of a coalescence of North America and all the top angel groups in North America, now able to work together much more collaboratively. So that's our goal, is to be much more strategic during this time and lay the framework coming out of this to be in a much more organized syndication framework with the other top 10 to 15 most active angel groups in the country in North America, our Keiretsu chapters and other organizations, so that, as we finish due diligence and are syndicating a deal, it just makes it a much easier process for other groups to join that deal, to co-invest with us. We're working with Carta on one hand with their tools and technologies for administration, providing investors online statements to be able to, view their investment holdings and get real-time updates on those valuations and how their portfolios are performing. So we're taking the time to think a little more strategically, thinking, 2 or 3 years down the road and where we wanted to be, and see if there's a way we can spend some time now to really, revisit, strengthen those partnerships and be able to set ourselves up so that as things recover, we've got things that much tighter and that much more virtually connected with the groups that are going to be with us for the next, 20 years, continuing to fund companies.
Great. Well, we moved our events online from a physical setting to a Zoom setting. We ended up moving from a geography focus to a sector focus. So we gathered all the medical devices into one webinar and all the enterprise software into another, et cetera. Are you finding the same shift where you're no longer tied to a geography, so you have to organize them in other ways?
Well, we've stuck with the geographic, delineation as a way of continuing to create some familiarity, because we have our Vancouver chapter, our Seattle chapter, our Portland chapter, Denver, Boulder. And so we have the members, they like seeing each other. They like having that camaraderie. But then we've also opened it up for everybody to attend everything. So it's kind of been a combination of both. It's allowed us to have 6 different online meetings a month and have everybody participate. And there's pretty much a virtual Keiretsu meeting every day of the month, with the 55 chapters around the world, 24 hours a day. So it's been really fun being able to jump in with the other meetings in Sweden and Istanbul and in India and get a chance to see what those meetings are like. I mean, it's fun to see that translation of the angel investing. I do think we'll continue to see some more industry-specific focus. We've thought about doing a life science forum or an impact forum, and we've done those before. We try not to exclude a cross-section of the audience that may or may not be interested. So, for us, it's all about diversification and trying to expose the companies to as many people as we can. So that's worked out well, but we've also started to do a global virtual forum once a month where we promote one big all-day event. And that will definitely have some themes in terms of the different flights of companies, in the morning, midday, afternoon, and kind of having a life science block and having a technology block and that type of thing. So, we've experimented with some of that, but, still trying to stick with what is the most familiar for our members as we've all adjusted online. But then I think there are a number of, good opportunities to expand the pie and really bring in a much larger community and partnering with you guys and other groups. And let's do one big super event and, try and get, 5,000 angel investors on one call. I think that would be a lot of fun to try and put together, and including bringing in all the family office groups and those organizations. And, once we get a little more time to get our legs under us, really look at the schedule for the rest of the year and think more creatively about, what can we do to really push the envelope even further in the end of the summer and into the fall.
Thank you for joining us today. As always, be sure to leave a review, subscribe to this podcast, and share it with others. Let's go start up something today. Halti Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for the basis of investment decisions.